Ladies and gentlemen, answer this question in the comment section or in the chat. And to my super chat, thank you. I can't do this without you. I'm trying to do a lot more live streams now, and I will be doing more live streams. And you help me do. I can't do this without you. So to my super chat, thank you. People in the comment section, on the upload, or during the chat, live chat, let me ask you this question. Why aren't there Mike Pence's or Adam Kinzinger's or Cheney's or Romney's or Richard Burr's or Paul Ryan's in the Democratic Party? Why do they not have the level of betrayal or the level of dissent? Why aren't there any Mike Pence's? You think that Vice President Harris would side with media or Republicans against Biden? That would never happen. That would never in a million years happen. Hit subscribe to this channel right now because I'm going to give you the answer. But I want you to think about this. It's very important. Why is there uniformity of thought, blind allegiance, this obsessive, fanatical obedience to the Democratic Party, both among media and within Hollywood, social media algorithms, even Major League Baseball? Eric and Luke, thank you. Why is there complete obedience within the Democratic Party? And why do you have people like Mitch McConnell? Why do you have people like Mitt Romney who will turn on Trump in a nanosecond? Why? You have to answer that question. Well, I mean, if you'd like, in the chat or in the comments section in the upload. Everybody, hello. Elliot, J-Spot, hello. Sandra, hello. Libra, Rhodey, hello. Why do you think there are so many people so willing to turn on Trump? Okay, I'll give you the answer. Why do you think that even Bernie Sanders, you cheated me again, no problem. I'll just come back for more. Why do you think even Bernie Sanders wouldn't dare refute or turn on the Democratic Party, even after they railroaded him in 2016 and last year? I will give you the reason. And to my super chat, thank you again. I can't do this without you. The reason is the following. Tammany Hall and the Democratic Party, they're finely tuned political machines. The Democrats are a finely tuned political machine. They are a finely tuned political machine that doesn't have to, the Democratic Party doesn't email James Comey and say, oh, please, do everything possible not to recommend indictments of Madam Secretary, even though she had top secret and special access program intelligence on private servers for 4 years running outside of the United States government. They don't tell the Bureau, who, by the way, essentially cleared Trump. They did not find an organized effort by Trump or anyone in Trump's administration to commit crimes in January. So that's out the window. That's yet again another conspiratorial fever dream of Democrats, along with Trump, Russia, and every other absurd hoax and bogus myth that they've propped up. They can't indict or charge Trump on anything. The reason is because all of their allegations against Trump are made up and fabricated. But why do you think it behooves? Why does it benefit Richard Burr? Why does it benefit Paul Ryan? Why does it benefit Mitt Romney? Why does it benefit Cheney and Kinzinger? You have to ask why it benefits them. You have to ask why it benefits them. If you're not asking why does it benefit people, you're not going to get to the heart of the matter. I will tell you why. There is, and there has been, incentive, motivation to be blindly allegiant, to give blind allegiance to the Democratic Party. They've incentivized loyalty. You think people are loyal? You think AOC and the Lincoln Project, or whatever, the Lincoln Project, that's a different type of thing. Now you're talking about barnacles on the hull of a sinking ship. They're the ones who got us into this mess in Afghanistan and elsewhere. But there's a reason that when AOC says the system, and Democrats in the system, there's a reason that they don't call her a Russian operative, and there's a reason they call Tulsi Gabbard a Russian operative. When you are a loyal Democrat, you can have romantic relationships with foreign operatives linked to China, like a certain congressman who, by the way, it's either him or what's his name, who passed wind on camera, passed gas, whatever. Trying to use a different word than the regular word for it. And I think it was, what's his name? Actually, wasn't even Swalwell. But he's linked to having a romantic relationship with a foreign operative. Dianne Feinstein is linked to having a foreign operative close to her for years and years. Richard Burr and Dianne Feinstein and Kelly Loeffler had stock trades immediately after a classified briefing. Okay? They don't get the same treatment as Paul Manafort or Stone or George Papadopoulos or Michael Flynn. There is an incentive because you are in a way protected by the establishment if you side with the establishment. The establishment is now the Democratic Party and never Trumpers. You are protected. You can write a book and you'll get a book deal in 2 seconds. You'll get favorable media coverage. You won't get hit pieces from the 10 to 20 publications that have devoted their existence to taking down Trump. You're incentivized. You think these people, you think AOC really believes the planet's going to end in 12 years? She wouldn't have passed a Green New Deal resolution. She would have pushed for legislation. The whole thing's a racket. But the question is, does Trump incentivize people? Is there a motive? Is there a motivation outside of just ensuring America prospers? Because unfortunately, that's not how politicians work. You can't simply say, hey, you know what? Side with Trump because it'll help the country. Now, if you asked Devin Nunes or Jim Jordan or Richard Grenell or, Ron DeSantis, they would say that. They would say, and DeSantis has had a much better time dealing with crises, public health crises, than Phil Murphy or Andrew Cuomo. But Andrew Cuomo, Florida is 16th in terms of fatality rate. New York and New Jersey, and God bless the people of New York and New Jersey, they're either, I think it's 1 and 3. New Jersey is number 1 in terms of fatality rate still, and New York is number 3. And it's been that way since last March. Yet Andrew Cuomo got an Emmy. That's my point, ladies and gentlemen. That's my point. He doesn't give incentive. It's not Trump's fault. It's somewhat of a critique of President Trump, but you can't blame Mike Pence for being a career politician. You can't blame a great white shark for biting your leg off if, there's, chum in the water. That's what they do. That's who they are. You're not going to look at a scorpion and say, "My goodness, that's so rude of the scorpion," or the python, or the cobra, or the spider that bites me. If someone pushes you into a shark infested water, you don't say, "My goodness, these sharks." You say, "Why did that person push me?" So the thing is, Trump has to incentivize people. He has to incentivize people to put either the country first or to put the interests of the country or of the people or of their constituents first. Democrats don't do that. It is not in the interest of Democratic voters to have their societies and economies to be shut down and then to just be given stimulus checks. That's not in the interest of people. It didn't save anyone, and the most draconian measures led to the worst outcomes. So you have to look at when officials and the Newsweek articles below, when officials notified Pence to remove Trump. If he could have, he probably would have. Okay? If he could have, he probably would have tried to take control. But see, again, that doesn't happen with the Democratic Party because Democrats are incentivized. There's a reason they walk in lockstep. It's not ideology. There's a reason they're so unified. It's because it's lucrative. It's because they worship media and public relations. And they are rewarded for loyalty. The one thing Trump doesn't do, and again, it's actually like a more noble way it's a more noble form of politics in a way. Like, the worst thing Trump will do is just, tweet something negative about you, but that doesn't give the incentive. Republicans don't have media propping them up, or I should say Trump Republicans. You'll have articles saying Romney and Cheney and Kinzinger and Pence are such good people because they're opposing Trump. It's all short-lived. Pence and Cheney and Kinzinger voted alongside Trump over 90% of the time. So you have to ask yourself, what can Trump do to kind of incentivize people? So we'll have a Republican Party in the House of Representatives in 2022. And I mean, we're looking it'll be like November of 2022, so we'll be going into 2023. We'll be going into 2023. So it's not that long from now, but it's enough time to where Biden can tank the economy and foreign policy and our standing in the world even further. But what can Trump do right now? Because the thing is, if he doesn't, I spent a long time on my last live stream getting bogged down on a point. My last live stream, I admit, was one of the more boring live streams that I've ever done, just because I got too fixated on one point. And the reason was, I said I'm trying to convey the notion that if Trump doesn't adapt, we'll have 8 years of Biden, no matter how horrible the economy and foreign policy is. Because if half the country views Trump as worse than soaring inflation and unemployment and crime and homelessness and complete disasters and catastrophes in terms of foreign policy, we'll have 8 years of Biden. Trump's going to run again, but if he doesn't change things up, he'll lose again. And then primarily that's also Republicans within those states have to continue with legislation. We'll just leave it at that. And they are, because it's been upheld by the Supreme Court. So once you get that addressed, those issues addressed, then you're going to have to switch things up. You're going to have to do that, because if you don't do that, you're going to have 8 years of Biden. I'm telling you, it doesn't. This is the thing. If you have Twitter serving as this extension of the Democratic Party, which it is, you have all of Hollywood, you have media. Everything's politicized because Democrats can't stand on their own 2 feet. It's a sign of weakness, but it's also a tremendous competitive advantage. It's a sign of weakness, but it's also a tremendous competitive advantage. They have every conceivable advantage. And yet, if they didn't have that, they would tank as a political party. I talked about in the last segment, the latest Emerson College poll shows Trump up in a matchup. Why 1 point over Biden? Biden is that bad. But if Trump doesn't incentivize Republicans, find some way to motivate them to keep loyal to him. And it can't just be public shaming. Okay? You have to find a way. You have to find a way to switch things up. If you're a pitcher, okay, you have a 98 mile per hour fastball. If you have a 98 mile per hour fastball and that's all you throw, you have a 98 mile per hour fastball and that's all you throw, and you just continually throw 98 mile per hour fastballs right down the middle of the plate, your ERA is going to be 10. You're going to get, you're going to leave the game with 4 homers given up, 10 runs scored in 1 inning. It'll be more than 10. You have to throw a curveball. You have to throw a breaking ball. You have to have movement on your fastball. You can't just always do the same thing. Even if Trump has a 98 mile per hour fastball, but he keeps throwing the same pitch. And I agree that DeSantis kind of has a better chance because he's not Trump. They've crammed in 30 years of dislike for the Clintons into 4 years with Trump. There are more people who dislike Trump with a passion than dislike Clinton nowadays. And that wasn't the case. And he has to speak to middle of the road, on the fence voters. But he has to give people you have to give, I'm not saying you kowtow to Pence or Romney, but you got to give these people incentive somehow. You have to give Mitt Romney incentive because unless he gets primaried out eventually. You have to give these people some kind of political incentive to not turn and side with Democrats on everything. And so he has to play the game of politics. Okay, in business, you're judged by how much money you make. Case closed. In some ways, you're judged by how you make the money, but it's about how much money you make. It's a very simple way to evaluate success. It's a very simple metric. You're judged by how much money you make. In politics, you're not even judged by failures. You're judged by how people perceive you. So Trump had more successes than Biden had, than President Obama had. He had far more successes. We had record low unemployment. We had wages that were increasing faster than at any point during President Obama's administration, or equaling as fast as wage growth in the beginning of President Obama's administration, something along those lines. We had hundreds of thousands of manufacturing jobs created while the manufacturing jobs were being lost under President Obama. You had a lot of great things take place. The Doha Agreement was a great agreement. Okay? The Doha Agreement said we should leave by May 1st, and we would have had January, February, March, April. Okay? Trump negotiated that with Pompeo. Not a fan of Pompeo, but Trump negotiated that. Freedom! Freedom autopsy. DeSantis is a Bronze Star Navy vet and a graduate of Harvard Law School. He's the real deal. I love DeSantis. I love DeSantis. I think he's fantastic. Freedom autopsy. Thank you. William, hello. I think DeSantis is fantastic. Okay? But if Trump runs, I love DeSantis. He's able to go ahead and easily refute the media spin. He can easily, DeSantis is, it's not difficult. Okay, it is not difficult to refute the media spin. Okay, it is not difficult to refute the media spin. It's not difficult at all. It's not difficult to refute the media spin. It's very easy. But what happens with President Trump, the difference between DeSantis and Trump is that Trump sometimes gets defensive. You can't have that. Vegas and Bama, hello. You can't have that. You can't be defensive. You have to show a little bit of humanity. That's how Democrats get away with everything. Oh, I want to let you know something right now. I take ownership in what I did. I'm so sorry. I put my hand in the cookie jar, so to speak. And I take ownership in what I did. I was wrong. I was wrong. Look at me when I tell you this, because I'm very human. And I'm very, very empathetic and sympathetic. I was wrong at what I did. I need to say I'm sorry to you and everybody. And now you can see my human side. Now I'm more human because I've apologized for something that I wouldn't have apologized for had I not been caught. Can't you see now that I'm like you? I'm unlike that orange monster who can't admit anything. I don't know if he's human or not. He doesn't do half the things I do, but you know what? At least I apologize. That's what you have to do. James Scully! To my UK viewers, thank you, James. James Scully, thank you. Trump needs his social media back up and running, but does he need it? I don't think he does. I agree that, you know what? It's not right. It's not fair that it's not right that he was singled out. And I agree with you. It's not right, but I think that he should stay away from Twitter. Social media in general. I think, James, you're right. I don't think he needs it. I don't think he needs it. I don't think he needs it at all. And I think that the social media was a trap, and it made him, this is the thing, half the country, or I should say a very vocal half of the country, James and everybody here, does not view Trump as a human being. He's not a human being. They view him as a monster. Even though Biden has presided over more catastrophes, they view him as an absolute monster. So they view him as a monster. And you cannot be viewed in that way. Indy Wood. Oh, thank you so very much, Indy Wood. I can't thank you enough. Indy Wood, thank you. Indy, thank you. But Indy and James, thank you as always. In the UK, James. To my UK viewers, thank you. Indy, this is the racket. It's the racket that they always engage in. Accept responsibility for a sin or criminal act that they wouldn't have apologized for had they not been caught. Accept responsibility for a criminal act that they oftentimes almost always got away with, but now they were caught, so now they're apologizing. Have media say, well, he apologized or he recognized it was wrong. Oh, Hunter is an artist now? Okay, well, we're going to sell his paintings to people who, anonymously. And that is, you're selling paintings to anonymous buyers. It's like, that is how do you get away with that? But you do so by saying, well, ethics experts have stated it's even better. And then they have this absurd, hilarious experts say when Biden, I should pay them more. When Biden lowers his tone to a hushed, whispered voice, experts say that the silence is deafening. The silence roars to deafening levels. All they do is promote this fabricated consensus. And any debate or discussion, there's no dialogue in our country. It's, fact checkers got the last word, so they must be right. Meanwhile, anyone who has a valid or legitimate rebuttal is marginalized. You literally can't debate or discuss. Oh my goodness. You literally can't debate or discuss things anymore in our world because certain topics are completely suppressed. You can go through the Gulf of Tonkin, WMD, the stock market crash, the internet bubble crash, Enron. You could look, all the smartest people in the room say a lot of things that prove to be catastrophes, horribly wrong. You have to, this is like, Trump has to switch things up. He cannot. He simply cannot do the same thing over and over again. It's not going to work. You're going to have 8 years of Biden. And Biden will very likely preside over more catastrophes. Unfortunately, I don't want that to happen, but he's that inept. You're talking about somebody that they're embarrassed of. The Democrats are embarrassed of him. That's why they mute his microphone. They are embarrassed of him. They're embarrassed of him. They mute his microphone for a reason. Okay? They mute his microphone for a reason. You don't mute someone's mic. Imagine, like I keep saying, imagine that you're at a wedding and you're like, Bob and Nancy, I just want to say, you make a great couple, and let me tell you a story about Bob. And your significant other pulls the plug from the microphone. How would you feel? You'd be upset. You'd be embarrassed. You would ask, why did you do that? Why did you pull the plug while I was giving a toast? I'm so embarrassed. I'm mortified. That's what they do to Biden. That's what they do to Biden. They pull the plug. They are embarrassed of him. They are embarrassed of the man. Okay? That's what they do to Biden. And it's like, you have an advantage if you're Trump because you presided over good things. There are people who like your policies. There are a lot of people out there, ladies and gentlemen. There are a lot of people out there who like Trump's policies but won't vote for him. Trump needs to speak to those people. There are a lot of Democrats, and they won't admit this. There are even a greater number of independent voters who like his policies. But they won't vote for him because they don't like his personality. Or they think that he comes with too much baggage. Or they won't tell anybody they're going to vote for him because you have these apoplectic, morally superior, hysterical, God bless them, liberal Democrats who just will disown friends. You got to ask yourself if it ain't broke, or if the adage, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But if it's broke, fix it. Trump needs to fix a couple of things. He needs to address a couple of things. He needs to adapt, and he needs to get back to what made him very special. Like, we understand that Republicans are now addressing legislation. Put that aside, okay? Put that topic aside, okay? It's protected under the Supreme Court protected legislation that Major League Baseball apparently didn't like, whatever. The Supreme Court said it did not violate, these laws don't violate the 1965 Voting Rights Act. Of course they don't violate any Voting Rights Act. So, but leaving that aside, I keep saying, if he doesn't address certain things, he's not going to win again. Okay? He was a much better candidate than Biden, obviously. Much better. He can actually speak and communicate without slurring his words and going into some kind of demonic trance. Yeah. Corn pop, corn flakes. But if you have all of media trying to paint you as a monster, maybe you should then take it to them. Maybe you should go on CNN and MSNBC. He needs to do this. Trump needs to go on, tell everybody you know that H.A. Goodman is saying. Trump needs to be interviewed every other month on CNN and MSNBC to let the world know he's human. They don't want you to know that Trump is human. They want you to think that demonically possessed mashed potato brains is not Weekend at Bernie's. They want you to think that Trump is a mean, vile monster. And rampant homelessness and crime and foreign policy debacles, the greatest disasters in U.S. history that Biden presided over, which was his fault. Leaving was a good thing. The way he left was a tragedy. Those 13 Americans should be alive today. They're not because of Biden, because he decided to spike Trump and not abide by the Doha Agreement and do things his own way. He's never had a foreign policy success in his life. He had to be rescued by an Afghan interpreter in 2008, and that interpreter was left behind, is fighting for his life now. But they want you to think that Trump is a monster and that anything that happens under Biden, you need to understand this. This is a serious, important point. When you're telling people to subscribe to H.A. Goodman, one or two people this week, you could do it if you want, who might enjoy my work or my channel or my voice, tell them that I'm saying that Trump deserves the Nobel Peace Prize, but that's another story. That President Trump needs to go to MSNBC, go on MSNBC, get interviewed by Maddow or Cooper and Lemon and Cuomo at CNN. Let them try to be as nasty as possible to him. Because now the lives being lost under Biden from what, they're not blaming Biden. So it's complete duplicity. We know now that with New York's governor kicked to the curb, that and then there's a recall with Newsom. We know that the Democratic governors preside over the worst outcomes. We know that. We know they preside over the highest unemployment rates. But they can have the worst lives, the most miserable lives and outcomes possible because of their policies. They still will vote against Trump. And you'll still have media painting everything as Trump said this, he's a monster, he's a menace. It's better that you live in poverty and and that our country descends into madness, and that we let other countries overtake us in a whole bunch of things, economically, militarily, all these things. I mean, militarily, I don't say in terms of foreign policy, I should say. China does not have to overtake us economically or militarily. We're doing everything we need to do to ruin our country and allow any rivals to surpass us. All you have to do, whether it's Facebook ads in which Democrats fracture the country because they're obsessed over Facebook ads, or a public health crisis, all you have to do is rely on Democrats to overreact. Media will then bolster whatever experts say. I mean, it's a racket. They start off with paranoia, fear, overreacting. Then they say the experts agree with us, but it's a fabricated consensus because there's no dialogue or debate or discourse allowed. So social media algorithms won't let you talk about things. And any experts or doctors who risk, or foreign policy experts or whatever, who risk, Stuart Scheller. This man's a hero. He should be promoted. But instead, he dealt with repercussions. So, Lieutenant Colonel Stuart Scheller, a hero. He's a hero. 17 years in the Marine Corps. He's a hero. But he spoke the truth. He gave an opinion that wasn't sanctioned by the entire by media or by the establishment, so he paid the price. You have to understand, ladies and gentlemen, that there's no such thing as consensus in our country. It's fabricated groupthink. There's no such thing as when there's no such thing as expert consensus, because if you have a bunch of experts in a room, you're going to have disagreements, especially about things that they were all completely blindsided over. There's consensus about, things that you've had years and years to study. But there's not this profound consensus on issues that we're dealing with suddenly within the past year and a half or 2 years. What Democrats and media have done is they've redefined words like consensus as experts agree with us. What they really mean is we've found certain experts who are lifelong Democrats who agree with us, and we've marginalized any expert or authority, and we have dissuaded people from risking their careers to possibly refute what we're saying. So you've discouraged any dissent or debate, or you have literally prevented discussion. That is not consensus. That is not marginalizing people, mocking them, denigrating them, insulting them, and preventing them from speaking is a Democratic Party hallmark. It's an establishment. They say that Trump is the bully. No, he's not. He doesn't prevent anyone from speaking or doing anything. The true bullies are the establishment. The greatest thing about Trump, which is also his Achilles heel, is that he doesn't care what you do. He doesn't care what you do with your life or who you vote for or what you think of him. The opposite is true with Democrats. They care you better vote for them or you're not who you are. If you don't vote for them, there's something wrong with you, and they want to make sure that they marginalize and silence you and put you on lists if you're a Trump supporter. That's the issue here. And you're not going to... the world is going to change in 2022. The people are going to be primaried out. You'll see 2022 is going to be an interesting time because you'll see the influence of the Democratic Party and media waning. The influence will be it'll be lessened exponentially because they'll see that oh my God, the more we try, the worse it is. The more we try to vilify Trump supporting Republicans, the more they win. The better it is for their election chances. Trust in media is an all-time low. It's only going to get lower because they can't, the next debacle that Biden presides over, there's going to be a flurry of media reports saying, how could Biden do this? And then immediately they'll do what they did with Afghanistan and try to just prop him up again. It's not going to work. Trust is at an all-time low, not just with media, but with Biden. And you have a situation where Roger Rabbit, we love you, H.A. Goodman. Thank you so very much, Roger Rabbit. Thank you. I can't do this without you. Thank you. Thank you so very much, Roger Rabbit. Thank you. Greatly, greatly, greatly appreciated. Thank you. Thank you so much. You're going to have, ladies and gentlemen, Roger Rabbit, thank you again. You're going to have Trump Republicans primary. You're going to have Never Trumpers primaried out. And people will ask why AOC didn't pass Green New Deal legislation, Medicare for all, student debt relief. I thought that the left was supposed to get a lot of what they wanted from Biden, that was the whole reason to vote Democrat. The whole thing's a racket. There's no left in the United States of America. There's no such thing as the left. I mean, there's really no such thing as progressives or socialists or communists who vote Democrat. If you're a communist and you vote Democrat, you're not a communist. Or if you're a socialist, you vote Democrat, you're not a socialist. If you're part of the Green Party or Democratic Socialists or any political party, yeah, then you are. But if you just always harp, if you complain for 4 years that Democrats aren't giving you what you want, and then you vote Democrat, you're a Democrat. I don't care if you have a hammer and sickle tattooed on your forehead. I don't care if, you no matter, like, whatever it is you say on Twitter, whatever virtue kind of signaling you do, you're a Democrat. That's the racket. Roger Rabbit, thank you. If you are a Democratic partisan, you are a Democrat. It's a political party. If it's not Trump or DeSantis or Rand Paul, I'm not voting Republican. I'm not voting Democrat, but I'll sit it out. I'm not beholden to a political party. I like the policies of President Trump because he reversed U.S. foreign policy. That is what drove me to initially like Bernie Sanders over Clinton. So when the Washington Post called me the unofficial scribe of Sanders' most hardcore voters, and the Huffington Post called me the biggest Bernie booster on the internet, my articles were going viral because I had a choice between Clinton and Bernie Sanders. So I said, I'm not voting for a more militant foreign policy than even President Obama's. That was really what drove me. And I thought, Paul, thank you. I thought that Bernie Sanders would take on the system. He became part of the system. He's there to funnel people back into the Democratic Party. The Republican Party is filled with dinosaurs who would rather lose. Trump it wasn't Trump's fault that Georgia was lost, or the senator, like Arizona, or you look at these Senate races that were lost. You have Republicans who investigated a Republican president. That would never happen in a million years on the Democratic side. They would never investigate a Democratic president. The only reason they investigated Cuomo is because of putting infected people in elderly care facilities. That's it. That's the only reason they investigated Cuomo. Along with the allegations, but the allegations they knew about. That was, you think Democrats and media are going to say, okay, yeah, we gave Cuomo an Emmy for his botched response? New York is the epicenter. New York is the epicenter. And so you have to ask yourself, what are the differences between the Democratic Party and the Republican Party? How do media prop up the Democratic Party? What's the role of media in politics? And is Trump doing what he needs to do to win in 2024? If you can answer those questions and get to a point where he wins in 2024, great. If I ask those questions, why are people so loyal to the Democratic Party? Why do people turn on Trump so easily within the Republican Party? What's the role of media? And if Trump continues to do what he's doing, will he win? Or does he need to alter his strategy in order to win? The answer is obviously yes. If he doesn't alter his strategy, he will lose. Unfortunately. There are too many people in this country who have been so brainwashed, who are so programmed that they would rather have, high unemployment, a devastated economy, a horrendous foreign policy, crime, homelessness, inflation. They'd rather have all of that than Trump. Surges here and there. They'd rather have all of that than Trump. Exactly. Media is public relations for the DNC. So, you got to ask yourself, what can he do? What can he do differently? And I keep on getting back to the following. He needs to go on MSNBC. He needs to go on CNN. He needs to show and display his humanity. He needs to be he can't be this monster anymore. He can't be this monster. And the best way to do that is to kind of take it to the same people who are creating this monster, this orange menace. They don't really want a long conversation with Trump. They want a gotcha. They want what Jonathan Swan did. That type of journalism is completely unethical. Because you politicized, Jonathan Swan of Axios knows there's 320 million Americans. When he says X amount of people are losing their lives a day, we are the third most populous country in the world. And at that point, most of the lives lost were in blue states. And blue states had the highest fatality rates. They still do. So Trump could have simply turned it into a political discussion, like about domestic politics, but he didn't actually. I don't know if he refrained from doing so because he didn't want to throw certain governors under the bus, or because he just didn't think of it. But you can't, if they're going to politicize tragedy, they should probably understand they presided over, and their policies have caused the most tragic outcomes. And so he needs to articulate that. He needs to articulate that. They will. Look, CNN and MSNBC tomorrow would love an interview with him. Do you know how much you go to CNN or MSNBC? CNN, they'll get they get a fraction of the views that Fox News gets. A fraction. Go to MSNBC right now. Okay. They get a fraction of the views. They have 4.49 million subs. 4.49 million subs. Okay? A day ago, they've had 17,000 views for a segment. 17,000, 11,000 views. This is what I do. I only have 183,000 and almost 184. Please tell your friends. I get those numbers. 15,000. I get those numbers. Okay, 11,000 views. Sometimes they'll get the occasional 456,000 views. Sometimes they'll get the occasional million views, but that's on a topic that really gets them going. The The whole shaman thing. Oh, wow. That gets him going. 12,000 views. Look, I mean, it's not... They have 4.49 million subs, and they have a cable station. Okay? People aren't really like... They would love... They will... Because money trumps everything. No pun intended. Money to them is far more important than giving him a spotlight. They would love to, they would absolutely love to interview President Trump, and he should do that. And when he's being interviewed, this is how it goes. You presided over, you botched the public health crisis last year. You did a horrible job. And very calmly, we did the best that we could, and Democratic governors, unfortunately, had the worst outcomes. And, well, no, here are the numbers. If you look at the numbers, you can go to the New York Times right now. 4 of the top 6 highest fatality rates are in blue states. I mean, there's a million ways to answer it, but it's not about, see, what I'm trying to get at, and I don't think I'm trying to communicate this, and it's so important, and you know what, Trump's not going to hear this probably, but he should. It's not about winning a political point contest in an interview. It's about showing your humanity. He already has 74 million Americans who will vote for him. Whether Biden has 80 million next contest or Kamala Harris takes over for Biden and gets 80 million, that's up for grabs. And we don't know. If Trump had negative coverage every single day for 4 years and, apoplectic, hysterical coverage the last year of his presidency, and he still got 74 million Americans, if he just throws a curveball instead of the 98-mile-per-hour fastball down the middle, if he just does things a bit differently, he can get that 80 million or whatever. You know what I mean? Leave the legislation that Republicans are passing aside that the Supreme Court said was did not violate the 1965 Voting Rights Act. It's like he has to give people incentive within the Republican Party. So, give people incentive to be loyal to him. Incentivize loyalty, because that's what politics is about. It's not about ideals, and for certain people like Devin Nunes or Rand Paul, it's about ideals. Okay, for Trump, it's about ideals. He's already rich. He doesn't need politics. He's already rich. He doesn't need politics. But you got to ask yourself, let me know in the comments section. What do you think, or in the chat, what do you think he needs to do differently? Because when you still have these stories in September. Pence tried to remove Trump. Pence was asked to remove Trump. This internal discord, this the willingness of Republicans to be utilized as tools by the mainstream and by Democrats, it's like never ending. They're going to be primaried out, but you're still going to have those Republicans that want to be known as the good Republicans, the good people who don't like Trump's personality. So they're going to just, reach out and give that olive branch to Democrats. What do you think Trump needs to do differently? Not in terms of doubling down on, he needs to even speak more to the choir. What do you think he needs to do differently? That's important. You need to ask yourself, you got to ask yourself, what can he do what should he do differently? What should he do differently? I understand, look, but see, this is the thing. If he doesn't do anything differently and laws don't change enough, then we're going to have the same outcome. If he doesn't change enough, if he doesn't change at all, and laws don't change to the point where they need to, you're going to have a situation where it's the same thing all over again. Amex! Leark, Amex! Trump should focus on improved education, intercept indoctrination. Okay. Amex, thank you. Amex Leark, thank you so very, very much. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Amex, thank you. Amex, thank you. I think that, the indoctrination, though, the indoctrination, that's a slow process. It's difficult, unfortunately. People get indoctrinated by peer pressure, and the peer pressure and the peer pressure and the herd mentality and the groupthink, that indoctrinates people even more than ideologies. A lot of people don't really, believe in the things that they're saying. You could see it with climate change. They don't truly believe the end of the world is about to take place. Libra, that's true. But there are people in the middle ground. Like, I know people who are very intelligent, who actually like Trump's personality, and they're not like blind leftists who just don't want to vote for Trump or don't like him that much because of the circus. Now, the circus is not his fault entirely. Or maybe not, for the most part, not his fault. He did add to it. I think there are things that the mentality, ladies and gentlemen, of saying that, he's perfect, that is not a mentality that's going to help the country or save the country or bring him back. There has to be a way for Trump to do things differently. And I think if you go to 2015, this is something, if you're bored, everybody, Eric H526, everybody here to my super chat, thank you so very much, Amex, everybody here. If you're bored, go to Mr. Barlow, Harlem Peach Mashed Potato Brain. Mr. Barlow, thank you. Mr. Barlow, thank you. Amex, thank you. To my super chat, thank you. You can go on YouTube. And you can see, let's see, Trump, CNN, 2015. I'm trying to look at these interviews. Here, go look at this interview with Anderson Cooper. It's right here. Go look at this interview with Anderson Cooper. It's perfect. He was already interviewed by Anderson Cooper. Go look at he was already interviewed. It's right there. Donald Trump, full interview, part 1, CNN interview with Anderson Cooper. It's right there. I'm hearing it with the sound off. Trump is calm, collected, and you can see the CNN host is kind of like, trying to get him, but respectful to a point. And it's like you see him as a human being. You might not like him. People might be repulsed by him because that's the way, a lot of people look at Biden now. Sometimes I just can't listen to him because Biden lies so much about grandiose things. Not like, if Trump makes a hyperbolic statement, they say he lies. You can look Donald Trump's CNN interview, Donald Trump MSNBC interview. This was all 2015, people. Here's his interview on Morning Joe. He's calm, cool, collected. He's the man. He's right there. You can look. You can go look at Mika and Joe. He's speaking to them. And you could see all of these, the four liberal hosts, including Joe Scarborough. He's a liberal, which is fine. I was liberal my whole life. I'm still liberal on things, but conservative on a lot of things now, especially the Second Amendment. But you can see they're all listening intently to him. Obviously, that's not going to be the case now, but he needs to go back on those. He needs to go back on those channels. I mean, that's the thing. When you look at how Trump has, you look at Trump 2015 and Trump 2021, he has to go back to the 2015 Donald Trump. If he goes back to the 2015 Donald Trump, Democrats and media have a huge problem. They have a huge problem because they'll have to deal with a person who is more human, more relatable, and they'll have to prop up Biden at the same time. See, if Trump is, they use the word polarizing. I don't like that word. But if President Trump continues to, evoke all of these emotions from within them, these negative emotions, where they'd rather have a horrible economy than, a horrible foreign policy than Trump again, I don't think that he can win. Lee, thank you. If he changes up things, takes it to them, goes on their shows, speaks with them in a very calm, cool, collected, bit more of a I wouldn't say cerebral, but strategic manner. I mean, the last question is, how bad can things get in the country? And I keep saying that your life should be focused on happiness, love, health, joy. If you're blessed enough, fortunate enough, lucky enough, you've worked hard enough to create a life for yourself where you don't have to deal with what everybody's, a lot of people, millions of people are dealing with because of Democratic Party policies. Can't blame Trump. It's September, okay, going into Biden's second year now. Can't blame Trump. If you're blessed enough to not deal with, tremendous obstacles, and you can live your life, and you can focus. You're blessed enough to focus on happiness and health and laughter and joy. Do so. And if you have obstacles, God bless you. Keep battling, and you know what? Ignore the media and ignore the noise, and just focus on what's made you successful for your whole life. Tell somebody you love them. Write that book you've always wanted to write. Start, the painting again, or music, or the guitar, or the trumpet, or whatever it is that gives you happiness. Because I do think times are going to get worse for this country. I think the economy is going to get worse. I think foreign policy is going to get worse. I think that we're going to see more things to test Biden. Biden has already been tested and he's failed. Ronald, I don't have that channel anymore just because, it was actually difficult. It's actually difficult now to have an HA2A channel. I might do something like that on Odyssey. So I actually, once I start my Odyssey channel, I'll probably, go to the range and do something like that. But I think that people are going to I think our country is going to experience, unfortunately, some really trying times. I think rivals or adversaries or people that want to promote their interests as opposed to ours, we'll just leave it at that. I think that they've seen a tremendous weakness. Biden is weak. And I'm not talking about militarily. He's weak-minded. He is weak-willed. Again, not talking about militarily, because what he made our soldiers do, they did the impossible. They should all be commended. Those people who presided over the evacuation and helped people evacuate 120,000 people, they did the impossible. It wasn't Biden's administration that did the impossible. Biden asked these young men and women to do the impossible. And they did. So God bless our soldiers and our veterans. They continually do the impossible and perform miracles because our imbecile civilian leaders, like Mashed Potato Brains and his merry band of inept, foolish, highly polished, highly educated people, they continually just, ask for miracles to be done, ask for the impossible, and, then try to claim credit. It's like, no, that's not. Everybody knows, the entire planet knows that it wasn't Biden who was able to do something so special it wasn't Biden who presided over something so special or this amazing feat. It was the people who implemented all of this, the people that we forced or that we told to accomplish the impossible, and they did that. They did that. Our soldiers did such an amazing job. It's unbelievable to evacuate over 120,000 people in a span of 2 weeks in a chaotic, dangerous atmosphere. And 13 Americans were lost. 13 Americans were lost. So it's pretty unbelievable, but I just think that the world has seen Biden at not at his worst, at who he is. So we already know who he is. We already know who he is. We already know how he deals with serious, like, all he had to do was begin evacuation in January. He decided not to do so. He decided not to do so because it would help Trump. So, and I mean, that's the issue. He wanted to spite Trump. I don't think the Hulk would. I'm reading the. I don't think the Hulk would care too much. But ladies and gentlemen, let's really quickly look at, before we end this, let's look at, type in Joe Biden on YouTube, Google. Wall Street Journal. This is exactly what I've been saying the past couple of days. Does Joe Biden have any core principles? They say that Trump didn't, but he does. Wow. Son of September the 11th victim tells Biden not to come to Ground Zero for 20-year memorial. Wow. His poll numbers are tanking, and it's only September. And he has every single possible advantage in terms of media. So, you look. I was responding to, I saw this, what happens if you, the Hulk. So, I don't know, that's what. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much. To my super chat, thank you. I'll have a segment at around 10:30 tonight. So, around 10:30. So, I'll stay tuned. I'll let you know. Be here around 9:45, 10 Pacific. So, I'll try to do 3 live streams a day on this channel. And ladies and gentlemen, God bless. To my super chat, thank you. I'll see you tonight, ladies and gentlemen, around 10 p.m. I'll try to do an upload on H.A. Goodman's other channel also. But be here tonight at around 10 p.m. Pacific. Check the channel at around 9:30 p.m. Pacific for the live stream. Ladies and gentlemen, today was a fantastic live stream. Thank you so very, very much. I don't even think people got notified, but it was pretty good. And Eric, thank you. Everybody, Luke, thank you. Everybody here, thank you. God bless. Indy, to my super chat, thanks everybody. I'll see you tomorrow. I'll see you tonight. Not tomorrow. I'll see you tonight around